The rain had been falling all day, soft and steady, tapping against the windows of Willow Creek foster home like a lullaby too sad to sleep to. Inside, 9-year-old Emily Carter sat cross-legged on her creaky twin bed, clutching a worn photo between her hands, the last picture ever taken of her family. In it, she was in the middle, grinning wide, her mother's arms wrapped around her from behind while her father knelt beside them, making a goofy face to match hers. That photo, now slightly curled at the corners and smudged with fingerprints, was all she had left. It had been 18 months since the accident. 18 months since the red lights, the screech of tires, and the awful silence that followed. Emily remembered it all with agonizing clarity. The way her mother had screamed her name, the crushing impact, and then waking up in a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and loneliness. A nurse had told her gently, "Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Your parents didn't make it." Something inside her had cracked then. Something no one could see, but that she felt every time she tried to smile and nothing happened. She wasn't just alone. She was left behind. The caregivers at Willow Creek were kind in the way strangers try to be kind. Their voices always soft, their words always careful. But they weren't hers. They didn't know how her dad used to put too much cinnamon in her pancakes, or how her mom would let her stay up late on weekends to watch space documentaries. They didn't hum along to the same songs. They didn't know the smell of home. Every night, Emily would pull the blanket over her head and whisper to no one, "Why not me too? Why didn't I go with them?" And there was guilt, a deep, gnawing guilt that wrapped around her chest like ivy. If I hadn't asked to stop for ice cream, she thought for the 1,000th time, maybe the car never would have been there. Maybe we'd all still be laughing in the kitchen right now. She didn't tell anyone these thoughts. Some things were too heavy to speak aloud. So instead, she carried them day after day. In her silence, in the way she walked with her head down, in the way she flinched at sudden noises. There was only one small thing that made her feel close to who she was before. The voice of Elon Musk. Not his real voice, of course, but the one from her dad's old videos, interviews, talks about Mars, innovation, the future. Her father had admired him so deeply that Emily began to associate Elon with hope, with possibility, with laughter. He used to do silly impersonations of Elon's calm tone, saying things like, "We're going to colonize the moon, Emily, but first, let's finish your broccoli." Even after the accident, when everything else felt like a blur, those memories had stuck. In a way, Elon Musk became a bridge to a world that no longer existed. Now, each night before bed, Emily would watch those same old clips on the donated tablet in the common room, sometimes barely holding in tears, sometimes smiling faintly as her dad's voice echoed in her head. In a world that had taken everything from her, those moments were the only things that made her feel human again. But on that rainy Thursday, something changed. A whisper drifted through the hallway. Two caregivers talking near the kitchen. Emily, invisible as always, heard one of them say, "Did you hear? Elon Musk is coming to San Jose for a tech summit this weekend. Public event, lots of press." The words hit her like a jolt of electricity. Elon Musk, here, in the same city. Something flickered inside her. Tiny, fragile, but alive. Hope. That night, as the rain lightened into mist and the house fell quiet, Emily lay awake beneath her blanket, the photo of her family resting gently on her chest. Her eyes, wide open, traced the ceiling's faint cracks like constellations in a quiet sky. The words she'd overheard earlier replayed in her mind like a song on loop. Elon Musk is coming to San Jose. It felt surreal, unreachable, like someone had opened a window in a sealed room, and suddenly there was air again. She turned toward the wall, where a small, flickering nightlight cast soft shadows. In her mind, she drifted back to before, back to warm Sunday mornings when her dad would make scrambled eggs and her mom would play jazz in the kitchen. Back when they'd all crowd onto the couch to watch Elon Musk interviews on the old laptop. The volume turned up just enough to hear him talk about rockets, Mars, and building the impossible. Her father always said the same thing. This guy, he dreams big, and then he goes out and does it. That's how you change the world, Em. She would nod, pretending to understand, though most of it went over her head. What she did understand was how her dad's face lit up, how her mom leaned against him, and how safe she felt in that moment, surrounded by laughter, by love, by the idea that people like Elon were out there doing amazing things. They even had a little ritual. After every video, her dad would stand up dramatically, clear his throat, and say in his best Elon impression, "Okay, Emily, time to get ready. We're launching bedtime in T-5 minutes." And her mom would giggle and salute. "Copy that, Captain Musk." Emily hadn't thought about that memory in months. Not clearly. But now it came rushing back with vivid colors and warmth. That image, her dad lifting her up like she was a rocket, her mom chasing them down the hallway with a toothbrush in hand. It wrapped around her heart like a blanket she hadn't realized she was cold without. A small smile tugged at her lips. For the first time in so long, the weight inside her chest felt a little lighter. She whispered into the darkness, "If I could just see him, maybe it wouldn't hurt so much." Maybe, just maybe, being in the same space where Elon Musk spoke, listening to him, even from far away, would be enough to make her feel close to her parents again. As if their love could echo through the words of the man they used to admire. The idea seemed crazy, impossible. But then again, her dad always said impossible was just a challenge dressed in disguise. Emily sat up slowly. Her fingers brushed the photo on her chest. "I have to try." She didn't know how, and she didn't know if she'd be allowed. But something inside her had stirred. A fragile ember. A whisper of hope. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Emily let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, something good could still happen. The next morning, Emily could barely focus. Her cereal went soggy in the bowl as her thoughts swirled faster than the spoon stirring milk. That ember of hope she'd felt last night hadn't faded. It had grown, quietly, stubbornly. After breakfast, she waited until the other kids were outside, then tiptoed toward the office, where Mrs. Jenkins, the head caregiver at Willow Creek, was sorting through files. Emily stood in the doorway, heart pounding. "Mrs. Jenkins?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The older woman looked up, her eyes kind but tired. "Yes, Emily? I heard Elon Musk is coming to San Jose this weekend. He's giving a talk at the Civic Center," Emily said in one breath. "It would mean a lot to me if I could go. Just for a little while. I promise I'll be careful. I won't cause trouble." Mrs. Jenkins smiled gently, but the answer came even before Emily finished. "Oh, sweetheart. I know this is important to you," she said softly. "But you know the rules. We can't just leave with one child, especially for such a large public event. It's not safe." "But I've never asked for anything," Emily pleaded, her voice cracking. "Please, I need this." The caregiver's expression flickered. Pity, sorrow, but her head shook slowly. "I'm sorry, Emily. Truly." Emily nodded numbly. She didn't cry. Not in front of her, but something inside her chest shrank, like the ember was losing oxygen. That night, the world outside the window was a blanket of shadows. Everyone else was asleep. The hallway lights flickered, casting long silhouettes across the floors. Emily sat on the edge of her bed, fully dressed, her little backpack packed with a water bottle, a granola bar, and the photo of her parents. She looked around one last time. The plain white walls, the mismatched furniture, the beds lined up like stations on a train to nowhere. She pressed the photo gently to her heart. "I have to do this," she whispered. "I have to remember who I was when they were here." With trembling hands, she slid the window open and climbed through. The cold air kissed her face. Her feet hit the wet ground with a soft thud, and for a moment, she stood frozen beneath the moonlight, staring up at the vast, indifferent sky. Then she walked, street after street, block after block. Her shoes soaked from the puddles. Her legs ached, but she didn't stop. Every step forward was a step towards something that might bring her closer to what she'd lost. The city, at night, was a strange place. So loud, so empty. Lights flickered in windows. Cars passed without noticing her. The world moved on around her, uncaring. But she walked on, a tiny figure in a giant world, carrying nothing but a backpack, a photograph, and a hope that refused to die. By the time Emily reached the civic center, her legs felt like rubber bands stretched too far. Her socks were damp. Her backpack had grown heavier with every block, though it carried almost nothing at all. But her heart still beat fast, full of something dangerously close to joy. She had made it. Crowds had gathered outside the massive glass building. There were banners, screens flashing images of satellites and electric cars. She squeezed between legs and coats, craning her neck, trying to see over the sea of adults. "This is it," she whispered, gripping the barrier that separated the audience from the stage area. "He's going to be here." Music played over the speakers. Voices buzzed with anticipation. For a moment, it felt like magic, like she belonged. Then a man in a blazer stepped onto the small platform, holding a microphone. His face was tense, and the way he hesitated before speaking made Emily's stomach twist. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "we regret to inform you that Mr. Elon Musk will not be able to attend today's event, due to an unexpected conflict in his schedule." The rest of the sentence dissolved into static. Emily couldn't hear, couldn't think. The words repeated in her head like thunder. "He's not coming." Around her, people groaned, muttered, began to walk away. The music faded. The lights dimmed. Just like that, the air shifted from excitement to disappointment, from wonder to emptiness. Emily stood still, gripping the metal railing like it was the only thing holding her up. She didn't cry. Not at first, but when the last screen flickered off, when the final voice faded into silence, something inside her collapsed. Tears welled up slowly. Then all at once, she turned away, walking without direction, her breath shallow, her chest tight. The city lights blurred through her tears. Her steps were slow and certain. Everything she'd hoped for, everything she had risked, felt like it had vanished into thin air. And in that moment, the world seemed more silent than ever. The streets of downtown San Jose shimmered with neon reflections on the rain-slicked pavement. Emily walked with her head down, her backpack bouncing against her spine, her small hands stuffed into the pockets of her hoodie. Her legs were aching. Her heart felt hollow. The Civic Center had emptied out hours ago. She didn't know where she was going anymore, only that every step took her farther from the hope she had dared to believe in. The buildings loomed taller now, colder. Strangers passed without a glance. Her tears had stopped, but the silence inside her was louder than any sob. "Maybe I shouldn't have come," she thought. "Maybe I shouldn't have even tried." Then, just as she turned the corner onto a quieter street, something caught her eye. A group of people walking briskly, one of them slightly apart from the others, wearing a baseball cap pulled low over his face. There was something familiar about the way he moved. The shoulders, the quiet focus. Emily blinked. The man looked up briefly as he adjusted the cap. The shadows didn't hide his features fast enough. Her heart skipped. No, it couldn't be. But it was Elon Musk. Her breath caught in her throat. She didn't think. She couldn't. Her feet moved before her mind could stop them. "Elon," she called out, voice cracking. Then louder. "Elon, wait." The man froze. Slowly he turned around. His expression shifted, first confusion, then concern as he spotted the small girl running toward him, face streaked with dried tears, clutching something in her fist. She stopped just in front of him, gasping for air. "Are you okay?" he asked, kneeling instinctively to her level. His voice was low, careful. "You're out here alone?" Emily nodded, then shook her head, then nodded again. Words tumbled from her mouth. She told him everything: the orphanage, the accident, how her parents used to watch his videos together, how he'd become a piece of her past she couldn't let go of. "I just wanted to see you," she whispered. "Just once. Because when I hear your voice, I feel like they're not so far away." Elon listened, motionless. His eyes didn't wander. He didn't glance at his phone or rush her. He simply listened with the full weight of someone who understood what it meant to carry grief in silence. When she finished, she looked down, suddenly ashamed. "I know it's stupid," she muttered. "No," he said quietly. "It's not." He exhaled slowly. "Your parents sound like incredible people." She looked up at him, and in that moment, under the quiet glow of a street lamp, in the middle of a world that had always felt too big, Emily saw something she hadn't seen in a long, long time. Someone who saw her. Not just the sad little girl with a worn-out photo, but the fighter underneath it all. "Are you feeling all right?" Elon asked gently. His brow furrowed. Emily tried to answer, but her knees buckled. He caught her just in time. Her skin had turned pale, her lips dry, her breathing shallow and erratic. "Emily?" His voice sharpened with urgency. "What's going on? Are you sick?" She tried to speak. I think my leukemia is coming back," her words slurred. Elon's heart slammed in his chest. "Do you have insulin with you?" She shook her head, tears welling. "I left it at the home. I didn't think. I just wanted to see you." That's when her body went limp in his arms. "Emily!" No hesitation, no thinking. Elon scooped her up and shouted over his shoulder to his assistant, who had stopped a few steps back, confused. "Call the nearest hospital. Now." He ran, his arms tight around the fragile weight of her body, her head resting against his chest. He didn't care that people were watching now, or that he was Elon Musk and someone might be recording. None of it mattered. Only her. Inside the car, he cradled her, whispering her name, trying to keep her conscious. "Stay with me, Emily. You're strong, okay? You're the bravest person I've met. You don't quit. Don't you quit now?" Her eyes fluttered open for a brief second. "I feel cold. We're almost there. Just hold on." The moment the car screeched to a stop at the hospital entrance, Elon burst through the doors with her in his arms. "She's diabetic. No insulin. She passed out on the street," he shouted. Nurses rushed forward. A stretcher appeared. Hands reached out and took her from him. For a second he hesitated, wanting to follow until a nurse held up a firm hand. "We've got her. Please wait outside." He nodded numbly, stumbling back into the waiting room. Then he sat, hands in his hair, head bowed, and he waited. Minutes passed like hours. He kept replaying her words. "I just wanted to see you. When I hear your voice, I feel like they're not so far away." She had risked everything, just to feel close to her parents again. Finally, a doctor appeared. His scrubs were wrinkled, his eyes tired, but not grim. "She's stable," he said. "It was close, but she's going to be okay." Elon exhaled for what felt like the first time in an hour. He closed his eyes, thankful, and silently, deeply changed. Sunlight streamed gently through the hospital window the next morning, casting long golden lines across the blanket on Emily's bed. She stirred slowly, blinking against the light. Her body felt weak, but warm, safe. At first, she didn't remember where she was. But then she turned her head and saw a man curled awkwardly in a chair beside her. Shoes still on, eyes closed, face softened by sleep. Elon Musk. Her lips parted, but no sound came. He must have felt her gaze, because he stirred, sat up, rubbed his eyes, and when he saw her awake, a rare, genuine smile broke across his face. "Hey," he said, voice low and gentle. "You gave us quite a scare." Emily's throat tightened. "You stayed?" "Of course I did," he said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Not long after, Mrs. Jenkins arrived, rushed, breathless, and teary-eyed. She wrapped Emily in a hug and mouthed a quiet thank you to Elon. Later that day, when the doctors explained Emily's condition, leukemia, the need for regular insulin, careful diet, ongoing care, Elon listened carefully, asking questions, taking notes like he was preparing for a launch. Mrs. Jenkins sighed. That's why it's been so hard to place her with a family. People get scared of the cost, the commitment. Elon looked over at Emily. She was staring out the window, her small hand gently tracing the edge of the photo she had nearly died protecting. He leaned forward. If that's the problem, he said quietly, then let me fix it. Mrs. Jenkins looked up, startled. Sir, I want to cover all of Emily's medical expenses, he said simply. Every insulin vial, every hospital visit, for as long as she needs it. Emily turned, stunned. You'd do that? Elon nodded. You deserve a chance at a real life, Emily. Your health shouldn't be the reason someone says no. There was no press release, no social media post, just a quiet promise, spoken between two people in a white hospital room filled with second chances. For the first time in so long, Emily didn't feel like a burden. She felt like someone worth fighting for. A week later, Emily stood by the hospital window, dressed in new clothes, holding a small envelope in her hand. She'd read the letter inside at least a dozen times. Stay strong. Stay curious. The world is yours, Emily. Elon, her new family, kind eyes, gentle voices, waited just outside the room. No fear in their faces, no hesitation. Because now, the burden that had scared so many before was gone. Outside, the sky stretched wide and clear, no longer gray, no longer heavy. Emily tucked the letter into her backpack, beside the photo of her parents. The two would stay with her. One a memory, the other a promise. She turned one last time before leaving the room, looked at the chair where Elon had sat for hours, and she smiled. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person who doesn't walk away. In an increasingly rushed and busy world, this story reminds us that no matter who you are, whether you are Elon Musk or not, a small act, a hug, a word of encouragement can be a miracle for someone. I think true greatness lies not in the achievements out there, but in choosing to stand by someone who is falling. Elon Musk didn't necessarily change the world in that moment, but he changed Emily's world. And for a child, that was all. If you find this story touching, please share it with someone who needs a ray of light in the darkness. Thank you for watching. Until the end of the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part. And now, select the next video on the screen, where another touching story awaits you.